Hey everyone, and welcome back to OntarioCryptids. Now, it sounds like you guys really enjoyed that super long episode that I did last week. Today though, I'm going to make sure that we don't have it as long, because that was super long and it took me ages to edit that. So anyways, we're going to keep it around the normal time frame. So in saying that, we have 5 stories for you all today, and it is a mixed bag of encounters. Some could be Sasquatch, Bigfoot related, and others, well, I think I'll leave it up to you guys to determine exactly what it is. So before we get started with these stories, just let me get this out there. As you know, I'm always looking for great stories to be shared on this channel. So if you have a story that you would like to share in a safe environment, then forward your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. All right, I'm ready to rock and roll. I hope you guys are. So go grab yourself a beverage and get cozy on the couch or chair and sit back and relax. Okay, let's get to the first encounter story. So this one takes place in July of 2020. It takes place somewhere in central Alberta, and having a look at the map, there's a lot of small hamlets like Widewater all around central Alberta. So I've just arbitrarily picked a location since the exact location or region was not given. This happened a couple of nights ago. My friend and I were drinking and doing farm kid stuff. It was around 3 a.m. and we were pretty drunk at this point. My friend went inside and left me and her dog outside so she could go to the bathroom. I realized I needed a pee and I was like, hey, to hell with it. I'll just piss behind this tree. So I was doing my business and my friend's dog's hackles goes up. She takes off running towards the trees, growling and barking. My friend and her mom live on about 3.5 acres of property with lots of trees around it. I call for the dog over and over again, and she's still growling and barking, but then all of a sudden, she lets out this whine and comes running back, tail between her legs. I pull her to the door into the light, and when I look back, I see something white running on all fours across the property that looked very human. It didn't notice me, and I acted like I didn't see it, and I continued to pull the dog inside, and I went to bed. My friend's window faces where the thing ran, and I didn't sleep much that night. During the night, I would hear heavy breathing, but I acted like I was still asleep. I don't know what me and the dog saw, but it wasn't human, and it scared us both because she wouldn't even go near where she saw the thing. What did we see? I live in Canada, so I know there aren't any skinwalkers around here. Okay, so this second encounter takes place in October 17th of 2020, and this takes place in Stevens County, Washington, and the nearest town is Colville. I'm a retired wildlife biologist and was out scouting with a friend. On October 17th, we pull into Radar Dome parking lot north of Highway 20, Colville, Washington. Nobody was around, and so we started a fire. I placed a trail camera on the right front hood of my truck and a second on the top of the toolbox in the back of the truck with the tailgate down. At around 9 p.m., we hear a low growl that went into 2 whoops and then a high-pitched squeal. Then there were 2 wood-to-wood thumps, and half an hour to 45 minutes later, we heard pea gravel hit the front of the truck. About 90 seconds later, pea gravel hits the side of the truck again. This all took place roughly 200 feet away from our current position. We made sure the fire was out and we left. We didn't detect any foul odor. The next day, Sunday, we went to the top where the radar dome used to be. At noon, we were walking around the old buildings. I detected a sulfur fecal odor 2 separate times around the old buildings. I walked over to the edge and saw something black move below me. I could not make out what I saw. It could have been a moose, a black bear, or a Bigfoot. A few minutes later, we then hear a wood knock from the northeast and one from the southwest. Later that evening, when we arrived home, we reviewed the trail cams. The cams caught the gravel being thrown in both directions. It also caught a huge black figure. It was mostly part of the head, shoulder, ending in a clear picture of the shoulder and arm, and an open hand that had thrown the gravel. All this was caught on the trail cam. Okay, so this one takes place on May 14th, 2020, and it takes place in Boone County, Missouri. The closest town is Harrisburg. Harrisburg is a small community of around 100 people. The area is at the bottom of the Missouri River. A bike tour called Katie's Trail runs north and south through Harrisburg. My wife was taking care of her 93-year-old mother, and I decided to drive down to the river and look around. There were a lot of people riding bikes on the trail because of the pandemic going strong and no one could work or shop. It was a sunny, warm day. I was driving south slowly when I looked up ahead on the road and I saw a big figure moving across the road in a very fast pace. Not running, but walking in big, fast strides. It looked like a vertical person, tall, thick, brown in color all over. I thought it was weird for a guy to be walking across a farmer's field coming east from the river and heading in a straight line to the bluffs. Farmers will ride their ATVs when they are in the field checking on things. I thought it was wearing a heavy brown coat with a cone-shaped hood. There was fresh planted soy in the fields, and I could see this thing from head to foot. When I first saw it, I was about 100 yards away, and I was driving slowly. By the time I reached where he had crossed the road, he had covered at least 200 yards and walking away from me. I had no camera or binoculars with me that day. I turned down a farmer's dirt track road to head towards the thing. When I merged on the road and drove towards it, it turned north and headed towards Katie's Trail. I never got any closer to him than the 100 yards, and that was because it was moving very fast, swinging its arms. I drove on back to my folks' house after that. Okay, so this one takes place July 18th of 2021. It takes place in Washington County, Wisconsin, and the nearest town is Richfield. My son reported seeing a two-legged large figure covered in fur at approximately 8:30 p.m. on July 18th, 2021, while driving eastbound on Pleasant Hill Road, roughly 1.5 miles west of the Highway 164 in Richfield, Wisconsin. The figure was standing right next to a tree on the south side of the road close to the shoulder. The road is curvy in this area. He said he also caught eye shine and the eyes were large. We said he probably saw this for about 3 seconds while driving. His headlights caught this, and he is 100% positive he saw something. He said his heart dropped, and he immediately called me while he was still driving. I knew something unique happened because of his demeanor and tone. About 45 minutes after he called me, I met him at home and went back to the site with him. We brought our dog, and every time we stopped or approached this area where the sighting was, he started to whimper and would not get any closer. All right, so this is the last story of the day, and this one took place January of 2021, and it takes place in a small town of Bothell in Washington State. The small town is somewhere near Seattle, and this is a little bit unique because it takes place actually on like a recreational area, very close to a school and a church. Hello. You can refer to me as Ricky. This story takes place in Washington State in a small town near Seattle. It took place in and around the winter of this year, 2021. To set the scene, it was around January, and me and my friends, who, well, we'll call them N and J, who are twins, were hanging around at their house. We decided it would be fun to have a sleepover. And in Washington during January, it is pretty cold, and it turns dark around 4 p.m. At 5 p.m., we decided to go into their hot tub, which was located in their backyard in their neighborhood, and it was pretty much a cul-de-sac of sorts. Behind the houses was a backyard that was connected to a small forest that had a fence blocking a steep drop that led to a small creek. Against the fence was a small playset with a child-size rock wall, hut, slide, and a swing, and the backyard led to a very large soccer field, baseball field that sat right against an elementary school. To give a better picture, from the street, the neighborhood was on the left, and the field was in the middle, and the elementary school on the right, with a forest behind them all. Sorry for the long explanation. Anyway, we were chilling in the hot tub playing Truth or Dare and being normal 14-year-olds, which gave us full view of the previously mentioned playset. I have always been afraid of what could be lurking in the dark, so I kept my view on the dark playset as much as I could. After around an hour or so, 6 p.m., we decided to get out, and we grabbed our towels and started drying ourselves off. As the once quiet forest became even quieter, sort of like Jay, Ann, and I were the only things on the face of the planet. Being somewhat scared, I rushed inside and my friends quickly followed. When we got inside, we sat in the living room playing Hollow Master Chief Collection, and after a few hours we get a strange energy boost and decide to go out for a walk. At this point, it was around 9:45 p.m., and we walked out the backyard and went to the gate that separated the neighborhood from the field. We walked through the field to the school with no issues, as we've done this many, many times already. We played games, told jokes, and eventually ended up at the other end of the field, which was being watered by sprinklers. It was 11 p.m. at this point, and we decided that we should get back home. We started talking about how what we did was just like a coming-of-age movie and kept talking about how amazing it was. We got within 40 to 50 feet from the gate that separated the two areas, when I saw something by the small baseball part of the field around 80 feet away. N already had his phone out, so I asked him to shine his light on it. The light could barely reach it, only giving us a barely visible silhouette. Although we could barely see it, two things were apparent. It was large and about 8 feet tall or so, but it also had bright glowing eyes, similar to dogs' or cats' eyes at night. We all stopped confused at what exactly stood before us, but I broke the silence saying, "I don't know what that is, but we're running." We all started to dart towards the gate. The creature didn't start to move until we got around 10 feet or so from the gate. It then stood up and got taller. I'm not sure by how much since I didn't get a very good look, but I was sure it was getting closer. I got to the gate first, and the moment I got there, I felt completely cold and a weird numb sensation. I always struggled opening that gate, but I opened that gate faster than I ever had before, and we all ran towards the house. Only around 15 feet away from the gate behind us, N trips and quickly scrambles up. I looked behind me to make sure N was okay, but quickly changed my glance towards the glowing eyes that loomed over the fence, watching us as if it was satisfied with our reactions. We ended up making it home safe, but it wasn't over yet. I decided I'd sleep in N's room, which could have been the worst decision I made. N's room had a window that looked over the backyard. Although I couldn't see what was outside due to me being on the floor using my blanket as some sort of protection, every now and then I heard a tap on the window. We were on the second floor. N was fast asleep, leaving me too afraid to wake him up just in case it were to attack me when I got in its view from the window. I laid there for what felt like hours until the tapping finally stopped. But when it stopped, I heard something that scared the living hell out of me. A small chuckle or some sort of satisfied grunt. I wasn't able to fall asleep that night, but when the daylight struck, I woke up N and explained my experience. There you have it, guys. 5 fantastic stories. A mixed bag of encounters, to say the least. The one thing that caught me off guard was the location of 2 of them, just because they were very close to a city or like a suburb. But in any case, 5 fantastic stories, and I hope you guys enjoyed them as much as I enjoyed sharing them. So if these stories reminded you of an encounter that you may have had and would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCryptid@gmail.com. I would be honored to share your story on my channel. Thank you for listening until the end. I truly appreciate it, and please hit that like button on your way out and smash that subscribe button if you're new to my channel. I hope you have a fantastic Sunday, and we'll see you all next week.